Again, this is Maestro Sani for the parts and functions of the nervous system. So, para po sa hindi pa nakapag-subscribe ng aking YouTube channel, mag-subscribe po, paki-click po ang subscribe button and the notification bell. Maraming salamat po. So today we will discuss about the parts and function of the nervous system. The nervous system is the control unit of the body. Its function is to integrate and coordinate bodily activities. It coordinates the activities and communicate with the sense organ of the other body system through the wire-like nerve cells or neurons that transmit messages passing through the spinal cord to the brain and back to the nerve cell or neurons for the interpretation of the senses. So this is the most important system in the body. It coordinates all the bodily systems. The nervous system and its function. The nervous system is the control unit of the body. Its function is to integrate and coordinate bodily activities. It coordinates the activities and communicates with the sense organ and the other body systems through the wire-like nerve cells or neurons that transmit messages passing through the spinal cord to the brain and back to the nerve cell or neurons for the interpretation of the senses. Okay, we have the brain. It is an amazing organ, performs different functions such as processing memory, judgment, and reasoning. It controls body movements, emotions, feelings, and vital signs of life such as breathing. The brain has three main parts. We have the cerebrum, the cerebellum, the brainstem, or the medulla oblongata. So those are the different parts of the brain. So the cerebrum constitutes the largest part of the human brain. It is also known as the cortex and is responsible for performing a great number of important brain functions, including action and thought processing. The cerebrum is further subdivided into different sections that have their own respective functions, and there are termed as lobes. The names of these lobes are frontal lobes, occipital lobe, parietal lobe, and the temporal lobe. So let us first, when we say frontal lobe, it is tasked with the duty of performing functions like expressive language, reasoning, higher level cognition and motor skills. It is positioned at the front portion of the brain. So dito sa unahan. Any damage to it can lead to changes of socialization, attention, sexual habit, and etc. So this is the frontal lobe. Next is the parietal lobe. The parietal lobe is responsible for processing the information sent to the brain by the tactile sense like pain, pressure, and touch. It is placed in the center of the brain. Any damage to it can cause problems with language, ability of controlling eye gaze, and verbal memory. The next is the occipital lobe. The occipital lobe is tasked with the duty of interpreting the information being sent to the brain by the eyes. So yung nakikita natin, it is positioned at the back of the brain. If it is damaged, your visual ability to be affected will be affected, like unable to recognize colors, words, and objects. Then we have the temporal lobe. Is responsible for performing memories and processing the sounds being recorded by the ears. It is placed at the bottom of the brain. Any damage to it can cause problem with language skills, speech perception, and memory. The next is the cerebellum. The cerebellum is known as the little brain and resembles the cerebrum, for it is a highly folded surface and distributed into hemisphere. This part of the brain is responsible for performing functions like balance, posture, and coordination of movements. Even though the cerebrum is smaller in size, it contains more neurons than the entire brain itself. The cerebrum is located at the back of the brain stem and on the top of the pons. So dito yun sa likod ng ulo natin yan matatagpuan. It is responsible for balance. So nakakatayo po tayo because of the cerebrum. Nakakatayo tayo, nakakalakad ng hindi natutumba, or nakakapag-perform ng different sports activities because of the cerebellum. Then we have the limbic system. Lies inside the cerebrum. It is also sometimes called as the emotional brain because it takes charge of our emotional response. The thalamus and the hypothalamus and the hippocampus are the 4 different sections that make up the limbic system. Then we have the brainstem or the medulla oblongata. When we talk about parts of the brain and their functions, brainstem should never be overlooked. The brainstem is located underneath the limbic system. This section of the brain is tasked with the duty of supervising important tasks such as blood pressure, breathing, and heartbeat. Moreover, the brainstem organizes reflexes and coordinates the fine movement and face the limbs. It is composed by midbrain, pons, and medulla. So yan, nire-regulate niya po ang ating blood pressure, breathing, and heartbeat. So minsan kapag medyo tumataas yung blood pressure, sumasakit po dito sa ating batok. Bakit? Kasi nandun po ang ating brainstem. Another organ in the nervous system is the spinal cord. A cord-like material inside the backbone. It bridges impulses between the brain and the body. This means all signals that go to and from the brain passes through the spinal cord and deliver it to the right muscle and senses. So yan po yung daanan ng mga stimuli or stimulus from the environment. So dumadaan siya patungong brain via the spinal cord. Then next we have the neuron. It is also another organ in the nervous system. It is a wire-like organ that is found all over the body. Its main function is to deliver messages within the nervous system and between other body system. It is divided into 3 parts. We have the axon, the cell body, and the dendrites. Yan silang mga transmitters natin. Mga transmitters ng stimulus or stimuli from the different parts of the body papunta ng brain. Then the brain will interpret the message being received by the different senses, and then after interpretation, the message will go back to the body parts in order to give the appropriate action. Neurons can be classified based on the direction in which they send information. This can be sensory neurons, motor, and interneurons. So we have here learning task number 1. Determine if each sentence is correct or incorrect. Write C on the line if it is correct. If it is not, encircle the words that makes it incorrect and write the correct words on the line. Then learning task number 2 is true or false. So write true if it is true and false if it is not. So what I have learned, so the nervous system maintains internal or order within the body by coordinating the activities of the muscles and organs, receives input from the sense organs, trigger reaction, generating learning and understanding, and providing protection from danger. This is primarily conducted through electrochemical signaling between nerves and other cells. So how do the nervous system work? The nervous system is in a human is made of the brain, spinal cord, sensory organs, and all the neurons that serve as communication channels between the various organs of the body. It is primarily made of single type of cell called the neuron. The nervous system function, coordinating movements of the body parts. So the primary function of the nervous system is to receive information and generate response to a given stimulus. The information and the response could be simple, subtle, or complex. For instance, when a hot object is touched, its temperature is conveyed quickly to the central nervous system and the response is immediately reflex for moving the hand through the action of the skeletal muscles. A few such incidents could also lead to information of learning and long-term memory encoded as series of neural connections. It is also responsible for receiving and responding to senses like touch, sound, smell, sight, and taste are conveyed to the nervous system in order to integrate information and assess the nature of the external world. So we have also here learning task number 3. Number the sentence from 1 to 5 to show the direction of information to reach the desired response of the given stimulus with the number of, write the number on the line. So these are the key answers. Task number 2 and task number 3. And again, thank you very much for watching and listening.